Welcome back. Well, now we turn our attention to an initiative that is not only timely but deeply necessary. Across communities, we continue to see heartbreaking cases of suicides, passion killings, and criminal activities involving men, issues that speak to deeper struggles with identity, purpose, and emotional well-being. And one initiative tackling these conversations head-on is Men Decoded, a women's series designed to equip women with the understanding of men's character, behavior, and emotions, with the ultimate goal of restoring men to their God-given roles as leaders, protectors, and providers. Now, the series is the brainchild of Daniel Williams, who is with us today to unpack the journey of Men Decoded, its vision, and the impact it seems to make in families and society at large. Daniel, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Nina, and good evening to the viewers as well.
Well, thank you so much for
good
being
to be back
here. Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel, before we get into the new series and episode of Men Decoded, I just want to take a look back and talk about what inspired you to create this initiative or platform, first of all, and why frame it specifically as a women's series.
Right. Very good question. Well, Nina, this really dates back to even from the time that I was at high school. I want to take it back that way. I've always had a circle of friends that were female. And, you know, ladies being ladies, there's always been issues with one boy or the other, or one guy or the other. So I would be the go-to guy. So how do you think this should play off? What would you say from a man's perspective? But usually it would be like, why are men like this? Why do men behave like this? And I would say, okay, wait, look, have you looked into this area or that area? So it birthed from that, and it just gradually grew into myself as a person. And I later realized it in 2018, but okay, wait, I could actually start something. In fact, a friend of mine back then said to me, a lady friend of mine back then said to me, Daniel, but why don't you start something? Why don't you go out there and be, this is what she actually said, why don't you go out there and be the Steve Harvey of Namibia? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So it birthed then, but it did not take off then. Because I had to do a lot of research. I had to understand how, if I have to bring this out, what kind of crowd, who should I then target? So from 2018 up until last year, I literally just interviewed women left, right, and center, whether it would be in a taxi, whether it would be at a conference. I just always took the opportunity to ask women, so, are you dating? And she'd be like, yeah, I'm dating. Why? Okay, so how is it going for you? So I would always just pick brains of women and wanting to understand what is their take on man and when they're in relationships.
Right.
So just like that, it evolved. And last year, well, I had the opportunity to speak at an engagement, and that is where it broke
finally
through.
Gave birth.
Yes.
Well, this episode 2, is titled From Boyhood to Manhood, or Boy Child to Manhood, rather.
Yes.
Unpack that just quickly for us.
Well, I'll tell you what. In your own home, you've got brothers. You probably have a cousin or an uncle. It's always been the case that a boy is, so to say, ignored within a household in terms of their emotions. Not ignored that they not love. Love is there, but in terms of the emotions. So many a times as a young boy, you suppress your emotions. That's why you find boys growing up in homes where they are not allowed to express themselves. When they become young adults, they become very aggressive. Because of what has been building, because there's no other way now as to how to cope with it. There's no other form as to how to cope with it. So they transform that into anger. So hence why I would want to start from the basis. Look, I would want to teach our mothers, our sisters, our cousins, our aunties, our grandmas to say, look, it doesn't start from the time that he becomes now a young professional and you're like, oh, red flag. No, that red flag was already there when he was a little boy. Nobody just paid attention. Everybody just, you know, sort of like shook it away. Just calm down, don't cry, you're a boy, boys don't cry.
Right, right.
You see where the suppression came from. So all that has been building up until the time that he is now a young man.
How do you aim to bridge the gap with Men Decoded between men and women in terms of understanding each other and, you know, the communication aspect?
A friend of mine always says, men have emotions.
Of course.
Yeah, it's not just women. So it's high time that a woman starts looking into asking the man affirmative questions. How was your day? Oh, my day was all right. Okay, what particularly made it all right today? You know, we men don't have that kind of conversations. We have a conversation as, how was your day? Fine. Your day? Fine. Okay, cool.
And that's where you leave it.
You understand?
Yeah.
So let's have those conversations, that intentional, that's the word,
yeah.
sorry. The intentional conversations. Ask me, really, look me in my eyes. You understand? See what I feel. Look at my expression. Look at where it comes from. Listen to what I'm saying. So that is how I would want to bridge that gap, to encourage women to say, have these intentional conversations. You'd be surprised as to what you can uncover through those conversations. Just within 2-3 minutes, that man can tell you half a book of what has happened throughout his day.
Daniel, some might say that it's unusual to teach women about men instead of just focusing on the man directly. Why do you believe it's important for women to form part of this conversation?
Who better than to understand the man than a woman? Is it not a woman that nurtures a man from birth? Is it not a woman that has the patience, that sits up the nights when that little man is sick, when that little man goes through his day at school, probably he was bullied, he's not going to run to his father, he's going to run to his mother. Is it not the woman that gives the warmth? So who else to do that better than a woman?
In building this platform, what's been some of the feedback that you've received, especially since this is, of course, episode 2? What has the response been from, you know, those who've attended, who've seen and heard what it is that you're trying to do?
I'll probably just make a joke quickly. So many a times people ask, so if you're doing this, do you still have any male friends? I say, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
They say, yeah, but you spill the beans. I say, no, I do. They do understand where it comes from because of, you know, the society that we live in now, in this day and age. But mainly women embrace it. They embrace it. Just today, for example, today, I sit in a taxi and I was on my way somewhere and there happened to be a woman in this taxi as well. But before she got into the taxi, I was in the taxi and I realized, but when she stopped the taxi, we're going actually the same destination. But the driver didn't want her to take her. So I persuaded the driver and I said, but look, listen, she looks like she's in a rush on wherever she's going. So can we please, it's in the same direction. And she got in and she's like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I said, no, but don't thank me. You got to thank yourself for being persistent. I just, you know, came to your aid. And whilst in the conversation, whilst driving to her destination, she actually, at the end of the day, offered to pay for my taxi.
Oh, cute.
Something that has never happened. I've never seen that happening from a woman. And she said, the reason why I did that is what you have, so many of us need. It's high time that we need to understand. It's high time that someone had to uncover for us what it is to be that man that gives off macho or that gives off that brave, tough individual. But yet, just the other weekend, I was at the funeral and the father of this whole entire family that had lost a loved one, this guy went in the backyard and actually broke down. And I happened to stumble upon him and I asked him, are you okay? And he says, he just wants to cry a little bit, but he can't cry in front of the family. So she was so, you know, so overwhelmed by this idea to the extent where she said, I live in Rehoboth, but I would love to come.
Speaking of the event, it's happening when? Give us all the details, time, venue, etc.
Yeah, well, it's happening at the Roman Catholic Hall. It's just the Roman Catholic Cathedral, central of town. I believe we all know where the Roman Catholic Church is. The event is starting at 1800 hours, that's 6 o'clock in a normal layman's language, and up until 9:30. And it's happening on the 18th of October, that's a Saturday. So you see how I accommodated women.
Yes.
You have ample time to do your shopping and lunch and all of that. And just when everybody has gone on their business, you go and have fun.
And I just wanted to ask, in terms of tickets for, of course, our viewers watching that are interested, that are like, this is an event that they can't miss. Is there any contact details or social media pages that they can have a look at and get all and more details?
Perfect. Yeah, they can reach out to me on my contacts. That is 081 47 477 13. I will repeat that again. 081 47 477 13. And they can look me up on my Facebook page, Daniel Williams, easy as that. Or they can look me up on my Instagram. That would be at toyourdaniel.com.
Fantastic. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for being here this evening, and we wish you all the best with the second episode of Men Decoded, and perhaps in an unusual way to bridge this gap and to bring, solution to, many an issue that we have in this country. But I believe in it, and I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I just lastly would like to add this and say, please, come out. You're not gonna regret this. This is the one event where you're gonna walk away home, and 2 days from there, you will give me a call.
Daniel, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that was Daniel Williams joining us there, speaking to us about the second